At the end of the day, the United States is prepared to engage and has always been prepared to engage with Iran. As far as the topic of those discussions and what the agenda needs to be, look, I think in order for talks to actually lead to something meaningful, they will have to include certain things. And that includes the range of their ballistic missile. That includes the nuclear program, and that includes the treatment of their own people. If the Iranians want to meet, we're ready. They've expressed an interest in meeting and talking. I'm not sure you can reach a deal with these guys, but we're going to try to find out. This is a president that always prefers a peaceful outcome to any conflict or any challenge.
Is it possible to negotiate with the current regime in Iran? Let's listen to Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Can you confirm the format and location of Friday's talks with Iran and clarify, given that Iran refuses to negotiate its missile program and insists on a right to enrich uranium, is the U.S. open to a compromise if that means reaching a deal to avoid military action? And separately, if I may, how exactly do these negotiations advance President Trump's repeated pledges to help the Iranian protesters, many of whom are likely to see these nuclear talks as legitimizing the very government that violently massacred its own people?
Well, let me first say just on the logistics. At the end, let me back up and say from a big picture perspective, I think it's pretty clear right now, President Trump is willing to talk to and meet with and engage with anyone in the world. I mean, that we don't view meetings as a concession. We don't view meetings as even legitimization. It is our willingness to sit and listen and talk to anyone, any adversary, any ally, obviously, but anyone around the world. And so the president's always been open to that. He showed that in the first administration, and he's showing it again now. And so I think if there's an opportunity to engage directly with counterparts in the Iranian regime, the United States would be open to that, and that's what we're open to. We thought we had an established forum that had been agreed to. In Turkey, it was put together by a number of partners who wanted to attend and be a part of it. I saw conflicting reports yesterday from the Iranian side saying that they had not agreed to that. So that's still being worked through. At the end of the day, the United States is prepared to engage and has always been prepared to engage with Iran. As far as the topic of those discussions and what the agenda needs to be, look, I think in order for talks to actually lead to something meaningful, they will have to include certain things. And that includes the range of their ballistic missiles. That includes their sponsorship of terrorist organizations across the region. That includes the nuclear program, and that includes the treatment of their own people. The fundamental problem Iran faces and the regime faces right now is that what people are on the streets complaining about, this regime cannot address. They cannot address it because it's economic. Those problems remain. And one of the reasons why the Iranian regime cannot provide the people of Iran the quality of life that they deserve is because they're spending all their money. They're spending all their resources of what is a rich country sponsoring terrorism, sponsoring all these proxy groups around the world, exporting, as they call it, their revolution. But I remind everybody what I've been saying through my entire career in public service. I said it in my hearing when I was asking for confirmation through the Senate. The Iranian people and the Iranian regime are very unalike. In essence, what the Iranian people want, this is a culture with a deep history. These are people that are the leadership of Iran at the clerical level does not reflect the people of Iran. I know of no other country where there's a bigger difference between the people that lead the country and the people who live there. And so our hope resides in that. As far as the president's views on the way protesters were treated, he was very clear about it. And as you saw, part of what the president said publicly prevented mass executions that were being planned and we're on the precipice of. And obviously beyond that, the president retains a number of options to how he responds to that and future events. But as far as the talks are concerned, I think the Iranians had agreed to a certain format. For whatever reason, it's changed in their system or what have you. We'll see if we can get back to the right place. But the United States is prepared to meet with them. I think it was scheduled for Friday. Steve is ready to go. He'll be prepared for that. If the Iranians want to meet, we're ready. They've expressed an interest in meeting and talking. If they change their mind, we're fine with that too. We'd prefer to meet and talk. I'm not sure you can reach a deal with these guys, but we're going to try to find out. We don't see there's any harm in trying to figure out there's something that can be done. This is a president that always prefers a peaceful outcome to any conflict or any challenge.
Thank you, Secretary of State Marco Rubio. The question, is there a partner in peace? To have negotiations, you need to have a partner who's willing to have peace. But what we have seen is we cannot trust this regime for anything that they say, anything that they sign, anything that they mean. I think, as they say, that ship has sailed. Haven't they proven to the world who we're dealing with? Think of these protesters, the counter-revolutionaries, in the last 3 weeks, when they came out into the streets protesting the tyranny that they are subjected to. They have zero human rights. They have zero religious rights. They are hurt. They are starving. Their economy tanked. There's no water. And yet, the government, went and slaughtered, massacred up to 50,000 innocent civilians on the streets of Iran in the last few weeks. How can we sit down at a table with such murderous terrorists who have massacred their own people, civilians, just in the last few weeks? How does the world sleep at night knowing that this just happened? How come there's no protests in the United Nations? There's no protests on the streets of London and Paris, Amsterdam, Netherlands, Belgium, Toronto, Montreal. No encampments in Columbia University, Harvard University. No outcry. What, did they forget the mantra? Genociders, baby killers? Why is that only work during the Gaza war? All of a sudden, the Palestinian children are more valued than the civilians in Iran? These are regular civilians just like you and I. And they went out to the street. They have no arms. They just have words. And they came out begging the government, please let us live. And to be shot, to be killed, to be maimed. I don't know if you've seen the reports that the death squads, the shooters, they were aiming at the eyeballs of innocent civilians. How barbaric that is. They have shut down the internet because they didn't want the world to know about their barbarism and their hideous, savage death squads that are out there to murder, kill, maim so many people. You're talking about 50,000 people. That's absurd. How can we sit silent? We were silent during the Holocaust, and look what happened. How can we be silent now again? There are 90 million innocent Iranians that are living in, as they call it, one large concentration camp. The world must have a voice. The world must help and be there for these 90 million. But it's not only about the 90 million Iranians who deserve to be alive, but the effect, the ripple effect it can have on the Middle East and the rest of the world if the current Iranian regime, who currently chants death to America, death to Israel, and when they say it, they mean it. We learned that from Hitler. May his name be obliterated from this world. When Hitler began his campaign to make the world Judenrein, free of Jews, people just say, it's rhetoric, it's just words. What can words do? 6 million dead later, 6 million dead. Think of the zeros. You think that one person is a whole world. How about 6 million later? Well, it's just words. It's not just words. When this Iranian parliament chants death to Israel, death to America, it's not just words. They mean it. Just like Hamas said after October 7, given the opportunity, we will repeat this again and again and again. This is the ideology that we're dealing with. This is the ideology that they are basing it from the Quran, that anyone who doesn't believe what they believe deserves to die. They're looking for world dominion. The Arab Caliphate is to take over the whole world. And they're trying it through acts of terrorism, they're trying it through acts of tyranny, and they're trying to do that with population, to overpopulate the world by numbers. We in America are celebrating our 250th anniversary since its founding in 1776. Our founding fathers and all those in the past quarter century worked, sacrificed, gave their lives up so that we could have the land of the free. What America has brought to the world was a gift. God gave us this gift. We introduced the concept that every individual has the ability to think on their own, to talk on their own, to dress on their own, to believe on their own. And this was a novelty. The world submitted, put everyone under their thumb, didn't allow them to think by themselves, to talk by themselves, to dress by themselves. And that's how the world was. This is how America was able to go from zero to superpower in 250 years. Compared to these empires that have been around for thousands of years, have never been able to accomplish what America accomplished. And that is because America gave the gift of freedom. This is the way God intended the world to be, that everyone should have the opportunity, the ability to use their talent, to be all that they can be, and no one should hold anyone back from growing and accomplishing, using your God-given talents that God gave you. To always remember the day you were born, God said the world can no longer exist without you. Because you are special, you are unique. You are handpicked by God to live now in this generation, in this moment. So you can unpack the gifts and powers that God has given you to be able to make your journey purposeful and meaningful and accomplishing for you, for your family, and for the world around you. And that is the journey that we must continue moving forward. And we cannot lose the 250 years of living in the land of the free by being bullied by these radical Islamists who want nothing other than death. Recognize it, understand it, and know your enemy and know what we're up against. When you know, then we could come together, pray to God, because God Almighty in heaven will not allow this to happen. When we connect with God, we include God in the conversation. God is part of your life, you're part of God's life, and God will protect us and give us what it takes to secure our borders, to secure ourselves so that we can continue on being a light unto the world until the great light of the arrival of the Messiah speedily in our days. God bless you. God loves you.